Of all the people that know how many people live here, you must know.
Yeah, we can tell when there's a lot of people here. We see it. It's directly related to the pumping. So for this August, we're right around 4 million gallons a day. And
what does an average person use? Do you know what the average person?
When we do all the math, it comes out to about 80 gallons per person per day.
Per day?
Yeah. Now, I think a lot of that, some of that, a percentage of that isn't actually being used by people.
It's irrigation.
Right. So probably 20% of that is irrigation. So the actual number per person might be 60. It's still a lot, but every time there's a remodel, every time somebody gets new appliances, everybody all manufacturers are using the water-saving devices and the faucets and the dishwashers. So we can see a difference with that too.
I've seen a huge difference in. I bought an Energy Star. Keep going down.
Yep.
One of those Energy Star refrigerators.
Yep.
Man, what a thing! Barely comes on.
Right.
Really worth it, isn't it?
And we can notice a difference. So even though we're making 100 to 150 new taps every year, new service connections every year, we've been maintaining the amount of water we pump over the last 3 years. So getting the word out about being conscious about not leaving the water running and trying to be responsible using the water, and the landscapers helping, the irrigation people helping.
Does every new house, Mark, have irrigation? I mean, is it seen that way?
Yeah.
It's almost like they got to have a pool and they have to be irrigated.
A pool and an irrigation system. Pools are big now.
What's the whole idea of the irrigation thing?
I think people want to see the nice lawns.
They just want the green.
I think they just want
Keep
the
going.
green. Yeah, it's down on the right a little bit.
They want that green.
Yeah.
And that's just taste. That's really just, right? I mean, that's only a matter of
aesthetics.
Taste. It's aesthetics.
Look
at this one. This one's incredible.
Yeah, so we just we added a couple new services on this road recently.
Okay. How are the services different today? I mean, aside from the irrigation, are they different than they were in the old days, or are they?
The material's different. We use a lot of PVC pipe instead of old copper and galvanized pipe. Other than that, we try to keep the same size. Some of the bigger houses that are being built to service, the engineers and architects want bigger service lines. So there are a few homes now that are getting 2 and 4 inch services going in.
If somebody in this town said, you know what, I'm going to do what Mark does in his backyard, and I'm not going to greenify it like this, could that create a problem for their neighborhood? Would there be problems with people saying?
I guess it would depend on their homeowners association.
Their homeowners association.
Yeah,
so they have laws that say you've got to.
There could be like some rules that are supposed to be followed.
Okay.
It's actually, I think the next road down is the one that's the new subdivision going in.
Oh, it's the new one, but still, this is still interesting out here.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's a lot nicer in the summer, a lot less traffic in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, Wisconsin is like old Nantucket was, right?
It really is. I didn't really notice that until we were building the new water tower, and I spent about a year out here every day on that construction site, and you can really tell the difference.
It's so true.
It's a slower pace.
It really is.
It's not as crowded.
Nope.
I know there's a Bartlett truck on Main Street downtown too, but it's kind of nice to see it out here and everybody using it.
Well, Wisconsin's been very careful about who they want out here, what they want.
Right.
As a community, they've pretty much kept it to a very slow pace, right?
Yeah, there is not a lot of construction, so for us, to get 5 or 6 new services in Wisconsin in 1 year, that's quite a bit for Wisconsin.
As far as billing goes, and somebody says I'm not using it, explain to people how the billing works.
There's a user fee. It's a monthly charge.
That's just to be hooked up, right? It doesn't matter how much.
It doesn't matter if you've left the island for the winter. House is drained. You're going to get a monthly fee.
Yeah.
That fee is used to help maintain our meters and the meter reading software that we use. So we can read every meter now by hitting a button on a computer, down to like a tablespoon. We know when someone gets up in the middle of the night and uses the toilet.
That's Big Brother now. Wait a minute here.
It's only if we need to.
They know that I'm out.
Road here. We can read that with the meters.
I got you. Sure.
It helps out a lot in some caretaking situations, and it helps us actually save on the water because the meters they're not smart meters, but there's a little bit of a brain behind the meters, so they learn the patterns.
Yep.
So when it's out of pattern, it'll give us a red flag on the computer. And a good example is last winter when we had the first freeze or the second freeze. One of our employees went into the office on his own, started checking, and was able to go turn off 10 or 15 leaks before they got really bad house leaks.
So you can actually shut them off too?
No, we can get the list of them and then go out and do it.
I see.
They do have a meter now that has an automatic shut-off that we can do from the house, and we've actually we're going to purchase about 40 of those and try those out.
That seems like the future too.
But that's what that monthly fee is all about.
That's cool.
How we manage the.
But you're not suggesting to people to let the water company monitor their house.
No,
I mean, they still need to be careful.
Yeah, the
drain the house,
drain the house, get the plumbers there, do everything normally that they do.
Yeah. All right. And who determines the fee, the cost? Is it town or is it
No, it's the water commissioners themselves.
And how does is the water commission separate from the town?
Yes. Yes.
Well, who owns it?
The town of Nantucket does own Wannacomet, but it is managed by the Wannacomet Water Commission through acts of legislation. And
wow, I haven't been over here yet. So this is all going to be developed in here.
It backs up right to.
How many houses are we going to put in here?
I think there's 39 lots or 30 lots maybe.
Wow. Okay.
And it's been subdivided for a long time, but the owners of the property never wanted to do anything, or never felt like they wanted to do anything right away. But now it's starting to happen. Like this one here is a new service.
Yeah.
So these are starting to move. You can see they cleared the lot next to it.
Oh yeah.
And
you expect these all to keep going? They're going to just keep building?
Yeah, I think so.
Unless we get hit by a bad recession or something,
and that's above my pay grade to try to figure out.
Exactly. I won't ask you about that. I mean, you seem pretty knowledgeable, though. So the board decides.
So we'll do things. We look at our capital. One of our biggest challenges is to. It's a very old system. We have pipe that's hundreds of years old, 150, 200 years old in sections of town, and with the growth that we're experiencing, to manage the system, so to get it up to speed so it can handle what we need it to do, takes a lot of resources. And that's kind of the biggest challenge is we need to do that. And obviously the Water Commission and I do not want water rates just to keep climbing and climbing and climbing. So we're finding ways to offset those increases in rates by, I think we haven't increased our rates since 2016. But we've done massive projects, millions and millions of dollars worth of improvements to the distribution system. So we just got to be better at finding ways to save money in other areas as we continue to improve the system.
How many new hookups are you doing right now?
We're doing over 100 a year for the last 4 or 5 years. New services. Just brand new for the last 4 or 5. So that's and that's not counting some of the bigger subdivisions that are underway now.
500 new houses easily, just in brand new since for the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Probably over the last,
and not including renovations and
not including renovations or
or second dwellings
or second. Well, that's a new service.
That would be a new service.
So,
okay. All right.
And you can't blame people for trying to maximize their property. The property value is so much.
No, that's another thing. That's another story altogether. I get it.
So
you do what you got to do. You hook people up. They need water. There's no doubt about it. But you're a good indicator of what's going on here too, as far as growth goes. Yeah. Does it amaze you? Are you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been busy here, and I know we we ride the waves like we always do. Good times, bad times, but. This one's pretty busy. I haven't seen it like this in the 20 years that I've been at Wanakama.
One thing you could do, which is, I'm going to bring Big Brother into this again, is, we have a problem with overcrowding here.
Yeah.
You'd be one of the first guys to know, looking at that meter,
Right.
how many people are in that house based on how much water they are using.
Yes.
Okay.
We have been approached.
You have?
Yes.
Interesting.
So there are bigger brothers looking.
I believe it. I'm not hearing much about it.
No, but we can, if it's a 2-bedroom house, and you kind of have a guesstimate on what an average 2-bedroom house uses.
Yeah.
Especially with the meter technology now, where it tracks all of this for us, and we can look at the data at any point in time, real-time data.
Yeah.
You can tell, in that weekend or for that maybe a 2-week span where instead of renting it to a family of 4, they rented it to
exactly
12 people in the house.
Exactly. Or they're an entire season with 12 people in the house. It's supposed to have 3 or 4.
You can see that in the water use.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, the data can be used in several ways. That's one of them.
Okay. How many people work for the department now?
13 of us.
Okay. Has that grown?
It grew by 2. It's kind of like the mafia. Once you're in, you don't leave. No one ever leaves the water company. Until you retire.
Until you retire. Right.
There's 5 or 6 of us that have been there for over 20 years.
Right.
We've seen our children born, our children graduate high school, some of them graduating college. It really is a pretty tight family.
When you're playing Monopoly, it's one of the more valuable pieces. It
is. Right? I think, and I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but I think we do it right. We try to take care of our employees a little bit more than some of the others. We pay a little bit more.
Yep.
And that's all about the commission and their willingness to do that.
Yep.
So we don't have people that want to leave. We keep happy employees that want to stay.
Right.
2 years ago, we hired 2 new guys, 2 local guys, Morgan Perry and Jonathan Bollins, who actually lives out here in Wisconsin. And I think we're good for now.
Because
we're pretty full staff.
And when you do hire someone, do you have to go through a certain process?
Yep, we do the same process everybody else does.
Give everybody a fair chance at
I think when we had those 2 openings, I think it was 30 or 40 applicants, 50 applicants, as far away as New York, Connecticut. But both these guys are local guys, born and raised. They have housing, which is a real important issue when you're looking for new people. But the commission's goal is, try to find the talent locally and
that's great.
And allow them to do what they want to do. They're very supportive for any type of volunteer work, like the coaching. I get to coach football, and it's okay with the commission. I make up the time in other areas during the weekend to come in, so that they get flexible time.
That's awesome that you can do that too.
Allows the guys to do a lot of different things.
I love hearing that, but I'm going to get into that in a second. I want to go back to the Cape for a second and their problem.
Yes.
Because they have aquifers too.
They do.
And so, but they also had a military base.
Yes.
And years of whatever happened over there.
Yep.
Okay, but they've got health problems. I mean, they have their higher degrees of cancer, thyroid conditions, birth defects. I mean, it is a major problem over there. If they're having a problem, they're only 30 miles away.
Right.
Is there anything that you think we should be aware of in your professional opinion that we should stave off that kind of thing ever coming to here?
Just be vigilant about what we're doing and what we're allowing to happen. Like when you talked about the fertilizers and stuff, the fertilizer regulation that we have helps. When we start finding out new chemicals like the PFOA and the PFOS, start sampling right away, find out if we have it, find out where it is, how do we treat it. Barnstable just spent millions of dollars to build a treatment system for the PFOA and the PFOS. It has to go through, one of the ways to treat it is through a carbon filter. And they built a massive carbon filter plant. So for
We don't want to have to do that.
No, because just the logistics of getting the carbon here and the used up carbon away and the fluctuation in seasons, and I know they're dealing with it too. But, the winter time and then summertime full bore. I mean, every pump we have is wide open right now.
So are they looking at in retrospect, looking at it and going, gosh, we got to change the way we're doing things? Are they putting more higher restrictions than we have in their? They're just covering their base by using this carbon filter.
Yes,
that's basically
they're doing the best. That's the best available option right now. There are some newer treatment technologies that people are working on, but they're not really proven yet. And with the PFO and the PFOS over there, it came from firefighting foam. Now, nobody really knew back, 10 or 15 years ago that was going to be an issue if you were using it. And you want your firefighters to know how to use it. They have to practice with it. They have to know what to do, what it's good for.
So the fact that we don't have it in our aquifer yet, does that tell you that we can continue to irrigate and use chemicals on our lawns and we're still good for perpetuity, or should we?
No, we still got to be as vigilant as we can and do everything.
I mean, if we could get rid of it, that would be better, is what you're basically saying. But because people don't want to do it, and
right, and I understand,
for now, it takes some time for generations to learn not to use it, right?
And the structure of our aquifer, I don't want to say this in the wrong way because it seems like it's protected, but the way it's set up, at about 80 feet, 85 feet below us, there's a small confining unit that's about 10 feet thick. It's a pretty tight soil, a sandy clay material. It's hard for things to get through it. Comet's wells are all below that at about 150 feet. So we have like this protective blanket over where we're pumping from. All the private wells, most of the private wells for residences and local businesses that might be on a well, they're usually above that layer at this 60 to 70 feet down.
Would it be better if they were on your own water system rather than on a well? Is that better?
In certain parts of the island, I think the water quality on the west side in Mattakit is a little touchy in spots.
Can that be tested for PFAS too? I mean, does that get tested, or do people do it on their own?
If it does, it would be people that do it on their own, but they can call Comet to help them get any information on what labs to use and what type of bottles you have to use.
Right. That's good to know.
And the Board of Health is doing a lot. Roberto's doing a lot with some nitrogen investigations and starting to sample a lot of the private wells and asking people to collect samples and bring them in. They send them off to the lab, and he's collecting data on that as well. So everybody's kind of moving in the same direction.
I think we've covered pretty much everything about water, unless you wanted to say something else. Is there anything you want to say that people should be aware of?
Just conserve when you can. Conserve when you can.
Yeah, I mean 80 gallons.
I know there's
per
days.
person a day. I thought when you said that at the meeting, I thought you meant a month. And I'm thinking, no, 80 a day.
Yeah.
I promise you can look at my meter. I don't do that much.
I don't think a lot of people do. I think with the irrigation in summertime, a lot of people are shower. I mean, you wake up and shower.
I'm a fast showerer too. I don't stay in it.
Another shower when you get back to the beach.
Exactly.
You got to go to dinner.
Yes.
Sometimes in the summer, people are taking 2 or 3 showers a day.
Yeah, quick showers though. Come on.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
So you're coaching?
I am. Yeah.
What is your job there?
Defensive coordinator.
You've been doing that for how long?
5 years now. And it's
how are we looking this year?
We're looking pretty good. The group of seniors we have now, it's kind of a good story. The group that just left, my son just graduated last year.
Okay.
So I started coaching. They asked me to volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club with a football program there. So when they were in 3rd and 4th grade, I was coaching with this group. My son graduated. These guys this year, I started with them in 3rd grade. I've been with them every year till their senior year.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's
sweet.
Terrain and Devontae and Darian, Joel, Jared O'Connor, all the seniors I've been coaching since they were 3rd
Oh,
So
wow, this is going to be a big year for you then.
it is.
What about your son? Where is he?
He's at Mass Maritime.
What's he going to do? What's
He wants to be a marine engineer.
Okay, a little science like his old
Science,
man.
yeah, a little
right?
bit, yeah.
Got a little
And,
touch of that.
He's playing football there.
He is.
Yes.
And he's playing football.
Yeah.
By the way, as a parent, there's parents out there, including me,
Me too.
worries about my son
Yeah.
playing football.
Yep.
Now, what do you tell a parent?
We're doing the best that we can with new tackling techniques. There's new technology in the helmets. What people don't realize a lot of the time is, even on Nantucket last year, if you asked our athletic trainer, football, we had 1 concussion.
Right.
I think girls field hockey had 4.
Right.
And I think girls lacrosse had 3 or 4.
Right.
Soccer.
Those are the things I worry about most.
Soccer is up
joints,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it depends, but it
It's
depends on the
definitely-
position, right?
It does,
Yeah.
and I always tell people you have 1 head, so whatever you can do to protect it.
And so what's your prediction? You got a prediction for us for this season?
Yeah, I think we're going to win the Mayflower Conference again. We're in the Cape and Island League now. So the Vineyard is now in our league.
Man,
And I want to thank you for everything you do for all the sports
thank you.
at the high school. I think it's great.
Well, we got a surprise coming. I don't want to talk too much about it, but you'll see.
Oh, good.
I'm just waiting for it to show up.
Yep.
But we'll be there. We'll be there. Is it Friday night, right?
Yep.
I think the first game is home
Yep.
game Friday
Home
night.
game.
Awesome. And you're off to practice now? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's great. How is it anyway? Are the kids? Are they into it? I mean, do you have enough players? I mean, how?
They are. We have
You don't have a
enough
problem
players.
finding players?
No.
Does everybody make the team?
Yep. And we try to play everybody. Coach Perry, the head coach, Joe Perry, we push a real family-oriented system. So it's really a lot more about wins and losses. That's kind of secondary to what we're trying to do.
That's great. Well, we love it. And thanks a lot for
Thank
going
you,
for a
Jim.
ride with me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. That was fun.
Yeah.
Got a lot of good information out of you.
Anytime.
Thanks for
I'm
doing
here.
that.
Yep.
Appreciate it. See you, Mark.
See ya.
Bye-bye.